Okay, today we're going to talk about rotations. This is Unit 4, Lesson 3. When we talk about rotations, we talk about rotating a figure in the coordinate plane. By default, we always rotate in the counterclockwise direction. Okay, so that means the way that clocks go, this would be the counterclockwise direction. So make sure you put that in your notes, counterclockwise. So that's the opposite. Clocks go this way, so we want to go the opposite way the clocks go. And also by default, the point of rotation, which means the point that they're going to rotate the figure around, is always going to be the origin, or point, 0, 0. Okay, here's the coordinate plane. You should know the quadrants. The quadrants are quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And we usually use Roman numerals to name those quadrants. Notice that in quadrant 1, all the points, all the x's are positive, and all the y's are positive. In quadrant 2, all the x's are negative, and all the y's are positive. In quadrant 3, they're both negative. All the x's are negative, and all the y's are positive. And in quadrant 4, the x's are positive, but the y's are negative. So you need to remember that as we go through these rotations. Okay, before we fill this in, you have a sheet that I handed to you to do as part of this homework and looking at this video. Okay, first of all, I want you to draw a figure, a triangle, in quadrant 1. This is quadrant 1, triangle ABC. So I've drawn this one. You can draw it wherever you want as long as it's in this quadrant. Okay, now you should, that is going to be our pre-image. Here we talk about the pre-image. So this is going to be our A, B, and C coordinates. Now the one that I've drawn here, the coordinates of my pre-image, which is the image before I rotate it, are going to be, so our x value is 1, 2, 3, and the y value is 1, 2. B is 1, x is 1, and y is 1. Oops. Our C coordinate, the x is 1, 2, 3, 4, and the y is 0. Now you're going to have different coordinates for whatever triangle that you draw. Now what I want you to do is pick up your paper and actually rotate your paper 90 degrees counterclockwise. So you should turn it like this. Now what quadrant is your triangle in? It's moved. If you look at this as if you were looking at it the way it was, now this is your first quadrant, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. So originally, the way we had it originally is in quadrant 1. Now if you rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise, now your triangle is going to be in quadrant 2. Now look at this and think of this as your y and your x-axis, and come up with the coordinates for your x and your y after you've rotated it 90 degrees counterclockwise. So for your your x is going to be 1, 2, negative 2x, and your y is still going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, look at your b. Your b is going to be negative 1 for your x, and your y is going to be still positive 1. Now look at your c. Your c is going to be 0 for your x, doesn't go anywhere on the x-axis, and it's still positive 4 for your y. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, turn it back the original way and rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So again, clockwise with the clock, this way. So turn it this way. Now your triangle is in the fourth quadrant. If you're looking at this as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now look at this as your y and your x, and fill in what your coordinates are up here. Okay? The same thing for 180 degree rotation. If you turned it 180 degrees, that's going to be two 90 degree rotations. Either way, it doesn't matter because it's going to end up basically upside down. Now your figure is going to be in the 1, 2, 3rd quadrant. Okay? So I want you to fill out this table. Take a minute to do that. Pause the video. Fill that out with what you got and see if you can come up with the rules for what the x and the y, the original x and y of the pre-image, turn into for the image. Okay, so take a minute, pause the video, and do that. So, I hope that you came up with the right things, and we will talk about these in class tomorrow. In fact, it will be your bell work, so you should be prepared for that, okay? So let's practice some more doing segment rotations. If you were to rotate this segment around, fill out what the new coordinates would be. If you were to rotate, if I said rotate 90 degrees, that means rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin, around the origin. So try that. And you just rotate each point, point by point. You should have figured out what the rules are for the coordinates, so you can just apply those rules to these coordinates and come up with what the new coordinates would be for A prime and B prime. So we would write that A prime and whatever the coordinates are, and B prime. So this is our pre-image and this is our image. Okay? Now after you've done that, in class we're going to work together on the homework packet, which is page 9 and 10 in that packet that we gave you. We also have some worksheets to think about. If you have a triangle with these vertices and these coordinates for the vertices, what would the new coordinates be for each point after a 90-degree rotation around the origin? Now, if you found the rule, you should have found that when you rotate counterclockwise around the origin 90 degrees, then whatever was your x and y coordinates, the y is now, the old y is your new x, and your new y is the opposite sign of your old x. So for instance, m in this situation, in this example, the new coordinates after rotating around 90 degrees counterclockwise, the new x would be the y. So that would be 7. The new y would be the opposite sign of the x. The x is -3, so the opposite of -3 is 3. So now look at n's coordinates. Your new x is going to be the y. Your new y is going to be negative what the x was. So those are your new coordinates for the n vertex. For O, again, look, your new x is going to be the y, so that's -3, and the new y is the opposite sign of the x. Okay? Now you try this one, and we'll talk about it more in class tomorrow.